Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone today. My name is Joe Rand. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at Howard Hanna Rand Realty, and I'm delighted to be here for this RISMedia Asian webinar series, Back to Basics, Strategies for Uncovering New Business. We're going to go on for most of the next hour, and we have a lot of great stuff to talk about. And I've got a lot of great people here to talk about it. So let me introduce them. That's me. We have Julie Britton, the real estate advisor for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties. We have Ian Hoover, co-founder and broker owner of Deacon and Hoover Real Estate Advisors. And we have from Elm Street Technology, we have Stephanie Alfonso, the director of Sales Enablement and Solution Engineering. And I want to give Stephanie the first opportunity to introduce herself and introduce us to Elm Street Technology. Take it away, Stephanie.
Yes, thank you, Joe. I know my title's a handful, right? Or a mouthful. But hey, everyone, like Joe said, my name is Stephanie Alfonso, and I am the Director of Sales Enablement Solutions Engineering. And I also run our field team and educational team that travels all over the country, providing education to MLSs, associations, and brokerage offices. So I'm not as exciting as our company is. So a little bit about us, if you can go ahead and share that. We are absolutely known for being an end-to-end solution in the real estate technology space. So when we say reimagining the real estate journey, we really try to, as Ian calls us, be a tech partner with agents and brokers, from everything from IDX websites to telecom, social media marketing, done for you content, CRM, lead concierge services, you name it. We absolutely have so much in our Mary Poppins bag, as I like to say, so we can truly find out what an agent or office's needs are and be able to fill in that gap. So that's who we are, what we're known for. We would love to invite you all to follow us and stay connected with us on social media. A lot of you might know us from our social media boot camps, or I get called the social media gal everywhere I go. But definitely, that's where everybody is. So We Are Elm Street on every single one of our platforms, at We Are Elm Street. We definitely want to keep this conversation going. Follow us for different great tips and tricks and videos and photos of stuff that we're doing out there, and I hope to connect with you further. And of course, at the end of our conversation today, we will provide you all with a QR code that you can grab your phone, scan that QR code right on your screen, just like you would do at a restaurant nowadays, and definitely connect with one of our coaches and see what we can do to really come alongside you and be your tech vendor, or rather partner, right, Ian? I'm saying it wrong.
Absolutely.
Tech partner as well. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Stephanie. And let me just a couple of things for the audience as we get started. There's a questions pane on your dashboard that you can use if you want to post a question. I've got a bunch of questions I'm going to ask, but I certainly want to try to incorporate if you have some questions for any of the people on the panel. And I guess let's start with this, and I think I can just stop showing for a second so we can see everybody. Julie, let's start with you, and I just want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to the audience and talk a little bit about you with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in Georgia. You don't look like you could have possibly been in the business for 25 years, but according to your bio, you have been. Tell us a little bit about how you got started and what your approach is to building your business.
Hi, nice to see everybody. Stephanie and I were just talking about this. It's the Botox. My face hasn't moved in so many years. So I am 50 years old. So I actually started out working at GE Capital ITS, watching all of these salespeople make all this money. And I decided I wanted to make money too, but I did not want to sell computers and software. One of my ex-boyfriend's roommates was actually a realtor. So I went to work with her one day, and the rest is history. So yeah, so I've been in the business for over 25 years now, more than half my life, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. So what is your approach? What's your basic take on the industry? What's your essential business model as an agent?
I really do like to focus on listings, leads, leverage. Everybody knows that. So I like to focus on listings. Right now, I am focusing on some expireds and withdrawn, and of course, FSBOs. and I use Remind to pull information about sellers, and I just reach out to them and have a conversation with them, usually via email. And I also am doing open houses right now, a lot of open houses, so I can get buyer referrals and then hand those buyer referrals out so I can get a 25% referral fee.
Yeah, open houses are crazy right now. We just did an open house event last weekend. We had at one, and this was in a bad rainstorm. 80 people showed up at one of the open houses one of our agents ran. 80 people, 80 different groups. I don't know how many people it was 80 different sign-in groups.
Yeah.
Ian, tell us, you founded a brokerage. Now it's the #1 independent in the Pittsburgh area. Tell us why you founded it and what your company philosophy is.
So technically #2, we're shooting for #1, and we're going to finish #1 this year. I'm very confident in that. Back in 2017, my partner and I started our brokerage. We really thought we were just going to be a couple investment geeks sitting around selling real estate, and now we're over 50 agents, and we're growing at a tremendous rate, and we're really blessed and just honored to be in the spot that we're in. And I'm excited to be here with you guys today because getting back to basics and stuff like that for me means that we need to get back to what I did when I first started, which I started in a buyer's market. So, it was completely opposite of what it is today. And so the basics is going to be getting back to, your 33 touch campaigns. And that's not all real estate, folks. You need to actually know your customers and be able to talk to them about things other than real estate, and getting into prospecting, making those expired listing calls, as Julie said. I mean, huge for my business. I used to make 100 phone calls a day minimum. I mean, that was at 9 a.m. I'm picking up the phone, I'm dialing. And that's what this is all about, getting back to basics. This is a meeting people and getting to know everybody type of business still, and we need to get back to it.
That's amazing. You made 100 phone calls a day. What's your, and that was when you were starting, so you're doing something, it sort of starts to run itself a little bit more as you get more into the flow of things. But so are you still very focused on phone calls? Do you still make a lot of phone calls every day, or has your business evolved?
Yeah, so nowadays I'm more managing the brokerage. I'm coaching and training and developing our agents, and we are an independent brokerage, so we're not really able to go out and just acquire 20, 30, $40 million producers very easily. So we're building our agents from the ground up. And like the average first year agent in our market does 1 to 2 deals in their first year. Our average first year agent does 7 to 10. And, just because we focus on things like, hey, making prospecting calls and, actually how to convert leads. And, we teach people the basics.
Julie, just building on that same theme, and that's the theme of the entire webinar today. What does back to basics mean to you, and how do you incorporate that into your business?
I mean, so I do what Ian does with the expireds and the withdrawals and the first time owners, but I slide into their email. I do not like to pick up the phone and call someone that I don't know. I don't like getting hung up on or cussed at, because it has happened to me. I'm not signing up for that. So I like to slide into either, I will even send a Facebook message if I can find them on Facebook. I'll just slide into their DMs or slide into their email and introduce myself and let them know about the market and how many months of inventory there is in their particular school district, just to let them know that it's a hot market right now. There's one particular school district, we have literally 2 weeks of inventory and that's it. So
let me ask you, so in a low, I think everybody's got the same tight inventory. I mean, we've got in the Northeast just as low as I've seen it in over 20 years in the business, and probably the lowest it's ever been. I don't think there was any time prior to me being in the business where I can remember anybody talking about inventory being this low for a variety of reasons. But with inventory this low, I mean, where do you find the opportunity for FSBOs and expireds? Or FSBOs I could see. Expireds, though, I would think that would be a very fallow ground right now. Where are you finding the expireds, and what's the angle on them that you take?
That's a great question. I actually go back from 1 year to 5 years, because there are lots of people that had their homes listed for sale before COVID. They didn't sell their home and they took it off the market, and they think they're stuck because of their interest rate is so great right now, but the truth is that, they should cash out, move into an Airbnb and find them something else.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, yeah, because when people say expireds, they tend to think about they're jumping on the expireds that happened this week, or like every day going out looking at the expireds that came out that day. But there are people that their homes didn't sell, and why did they pull them off the market? And there's lots of reasons people pull off the market. They might have decided not to sell. They they might have changed in their life, but a lot of times they just something happened that was temporary and they're willing to go back on, but their agent they worked with left the business or whatever, and they don't really have anybody to call if you catch them at the right time. You know, let me go back to you, Ian. All of that kind of lead generation of reaching out, phone calls, whether it's phone calls, emails, or whatever else, it always seems to me like it's about getting out there to reach out to a lot of people, because you have to catch them at the right time. And if there's 50 people, maybe there's a handful that you'll catch at just the right moment when they are at the precipice of saying, we really should think about getting back on the market. And then they get the email or they get the phone call and they say, oh, this is a good coincidence. I just was thinking about this. Is that basically right? Is it just a numbers game that you do as many as you can, many contacts as you can, because you need to get people at the right moment? You never know when that moment is.
Well, I was gonna. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
Ian and then Steph.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did not go back years and call old expireds. When I was calling expireds, I was calling things that just came off the market. And I was telling them, a lot of people don't even know when their house came off the market. They think they're still listed. And I'm just calling, I had a script that I use and I teach all my agents how to do it. And first things first, if you're making a prospecting call and you don't know the person, the one tip I can absolutely give you is don't say Mr. or Mrs. Smith, hey, Mrs. Smith, that's sales calls, right? Oh, this is a sales call. I'm going to hang up on this person. Instead, hey, Barbara, how are you? Hey, Stephanie, how are you? It takes them off guard. It makes them think that you know them. And it just it gives you a much higher conversion rate on those sales calls. And I will say, Julie, I don't know if it's maybe because you're a beautiful woman or whatever. I would get ignored so much through emails and Facebook Messenger. I have to pick up the phone. I got to be that annoying thorn in the side. It's all about the squeaky wheel getting the grease for me. So.
Yeah, people have pointed out in the chat, they've said that they have challenges using the phone, and you talked about that being somewhat in the past when you started in the business because of do not call lists and things like that. But Stephanie had something to jump in with. Stephanie, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple things. Number one, a lot of times we hear about the buyer continuum or the seller continuum, right? From the time somebody thinks of buying a house to the time they actually do it, right? Can be anywhere between 1 to 24 months. Right, seller continuum is obviously a little smaller, but the job of an agent, right, is to make sure that by the time there's something that happens in their life, they have a baby, they get married, they get that job promotion, whatever, they're empty nesters now, whatever happens within that time frame, it's the job of the agent to make sure that they're ready, that they're going to be the ones that are top of mind when they're ready to buy or sell. So this is where it becomes a problem, where we call it the invisible agent, right? Where, what are you doing to stay present? I always say you want to stay in people's inbox, right? Like you're doing, Julie. You want to make sure that I'm in my mailbox, right? Talk about getting back to basics. One of the things that is really making a comeback, and take this from the social media gal, is print marketing, right? We just want to make sure we're tying it in with some technology, and I'll get to that. And then, of course, we need to make sure that we are in everyone's newsfeed. Everybody is on social media. We need to make sure that we're providing value consistently, not just buy with me, sell with me, I love your referrals, buy with me, sell with me, I love your referrals. Providing content on a consistent basis, so when that life change occurs, you're the name that comes to top of mind. What we don't want to be is that agent that we're in the grocery store out and about and someone says, oh, hey, Julie, are you still selling real estate? Right? That's like, what do you mean I'm still selling real estate? Of course I am, right? We want to make sure that somebody goes up to you and says, hey, Ian, hey, I had a question. I know that you're the guru around here around the Pittsburgh area. Tell me about this, right? That everybody who knows you, whether they're in your sphere or not, and we'll even get to that in a little bit, but that we're just making sure that we're staying relevant even in a time when the market's slow.
Yeah, I think one of the things I talk about a lot when I talk to agents and I'm coaching or teaching or whatever, is the extent to which everybody in your market needs real estate services all the time. They may not need to sell or buy a home right now, but they need information. They need advice. They need to know, hey, I'm thinking of putting a pool in. What will affect my property value? They need a landscaper, and they're looking for a good recommendation from someone who's a human being and not a bot. They always need stuff like that. And so the more present you are in their lives, the more likely you are to be the person that they're going to reach out to talk to. And then you're establishing a relationship that might turn into something. I will say this, but what you say about print, I think is true. Just as a consumer, I mean, my attitude, email versus regular mail, like there were years ago, like email was so much more exciting and I hated regular mail. And now my email is just a burden on me in a lot of ways. And like, I look at my mail, I open up the mailbox, I'm like, oh, is there anything here? Like, there's never anything there, but like, you know, hope springs eternal that every once in a while I get a mailing. And actually what always excites me more than anything is I get a mailing about a just listed card that I'm on somebody's mailing list for, and I go, oh, well, let me see what, because I'm curious about the market as a real estate professional.
Right.
Well,
right, I just wanted to add one thing in there, Joe, is that when it comes to print marketing, right? And I keep saying that I'm going to do this, and I want to create this class called Back to the Future. How can we tie in the old school practices, not necessarily door knocking and all that, because nowadays everyone's got a Ring doorbell and you're like, who's that, right? But when we think about print marketing, we think of that as like the old school practice. Well, think about this. You've got a neighborhood, right? You've got your farm area or whatever that you're trying to connect with. Well, instead of sending out 1,200, pieces of mail or 1,200 postcards, which is very expensive, right? Imagine if you were able to target online that specific area or neighborhood, right? You've got Google ads going out, capturing people that are in your neighborhood, typing, what is my home worth in XYZ, tips for selling my home in XYZ, real estate in XYZ, whatever it might be, and then capturing those hand raisers and then using those leads to target your print mail, right? Yeah. These are people that are expressing interest and intent. And so I really think it's important that we start really getting educated on how we can really marry these two practices together to work smarter, not harder, and really be more concentrated in our investments.
Yeah, that raised a good question. You can see I put it up on the screen about the tools that you all use. Like, what do you use effectively? I know, Ian, you use, for example, you're using Elm Street. I know Julie mentioned Reline, but I'm sure there's other things she uses as well. But what are some of the things that you find most helpful in your in implementing, even in a back to basics, the technology that really helps you along with that? Either of you jump in, Julie or Ian.
Well, I think that when it comes to technology, you have to really buy in. And if you're slow right now, if that's why you're watching this webinar or whatever, I mean, this is a great time to really implement a new software to make your life better and to get more leads and all that good stuff. Make sure your CRM is on point. And I will say the reason why my brokerage chose Elm Street, which is actually, we use a sub product called Elevate, is because like the number one thing to me that's important is our branding and being on social media and getting out there and doing it consistently. And agents, the second they get busy, the first thing that goes away is their social media game, right? They stop posting consistently, they stop making videos, all that stuff. So we actually went and hired Elm Street and Elevate specifically is the product that we use to do that for us. Like, they follow our agents on the MLS, and anytime they sell something, we get an automatic post that goes on their Facebook and their LinkedIn and their Twitter. And it literally does everything for them, does market updates for them, blogs for them. I mean, we have just a tremendous amount of information going on the web without us moving a finger, and it's super powerful. And then the agent can just fill in with we call them like public, persona, whatever you want to call it, right? So they can go out and show their personality on the internet, and that's what they should focus on, because Elevate has their back doing all the real estate posting. Now get your personality out there. I'm a Cowboys fan who lives in Pittsburgh, so I throw that stuff out there, and I get a lot of great, great for the Steeler fans anyways, a lot of great comments and everything. Get out there and show your personality. It can't all be about real estate, because then they'll tune you out, right? You got to put out some stuff other than real estate to show your personality and make somebody go, I would really like to work with Julie, because she's got a boutique store, and she has a lot of fun, and she dresses in pink, and she knows what she's talking about, right? So you want to show them that you are an agent and a human, right? That you have a personality, that you have something outside of real estate that they're going to bond with.
Yeah, and I think one of the underrated social media strategies, I agree with that it's got to be a mix, that if all you're doing is posting listings over and over again and nothing else, that people tune you out, and you probably don't get a lot of engagement, so Facebook will start to really punish you for that. That has to be a mix. I mean, I can post, what's really always so sad is I can post like really good market data, and I get some like decent engagement with graphs and things like that. And then I post a picture of my kids at something, and I get 400 likes on it. And I'm like, what I really should do is post like 2 pictures of my kids and like a market share graph, like all in the same post, and so at least my market share graph gets boosted along the way by all that juice that comes with pictures of my kids. Julie, tell me, give me a sense of what technologies have really worked for you as well.
So I actually love Facebook ads. I think they're brilliant. The very first week of April, it was actually, I think it was like National Home Valuation Week. So I ran an ad for people just to type in realtor770.com, and they were able to plug in their address and get the value of their home. It was so easy. It was so easy. And it was basically just a form that people would fill out. I would get all of their information, and I was able to email everybody within probably about 48 hours, sometimes less, the value of their home, and let them know that if they thought it was wrong, to reach out to me, or if they had a renovated kitchen or whatever, that I needed to include that in my pricing analysis of their home, to let me know. And it was brilliant. It was really great. I had about 25 people actually reach out to me. So that was nice. And usually when people reach out to see the value of their home, chances are they plan on moving with anywhere between 2 months to 24 months. They're just trying to see where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's really never been, the real estate industry, when it comes to generating leads, the best lead generator is always an active listing that you can use as a basis for open houses and everything else that just generates buyers. But the hardest part of this industry has always been trying to find sellers with the advertising. And I think the solution has always been about valuation. That was what built Zillow, having this estimate, and that's what it sounds like you're using effectively, the idea that people, they want to know what their home is worth. And if they can find out without having to make a commitment to sit down with somebody in person, they'll do that. They just don't necessarily want to sit through a listing presentation to get there any more than they want to sit through a timeshare presentation to get a free weekend in the Berkshires or wherever they might get it.
Well, and Julie, another thing I was going to say too, just to piggyback off that real quick, another tip, when we talk about the home valuations, taking your sold properties, right? Just sold, you've got that going out. You want to make sure that that's always going to be a link back to your website, right? Where they can get that home valuation, boost that to the 20-mile radius around that sold property. If that just sold is a link back to your website, they can get, as soon as Susie next door finds out that their neighbor just sold their house for 30 over asking price and they want to know what theirs is worth.
Yep.
That's just a really, really great and very low cost way to start generating leads organically.
Yeah. And I actually do that through my email marketing. I really attack people with whenever I get a listing. They'll get a coming soon email, a just listed email. They'll get a neighborhood, nosy neighbor open house preview. I call it a house party. They get everything from me. So they actually received like 7 touches from me, which is really a lot. And it's funny because I don't think they realize that I'm the same agent. They just keep seeing my face. They don't realize it's actually the same house, So, but I do at the end, after it has sold, I let them know, hey, I just had one sell in March. We had over 65 people walk through in one weekend, and I got 11 contracts on it. So of course I wanted to tell the neighbors about that. That's a huge deal, and of course I put my website out there, my valuation website, and just hoped that people would click on it so I could pounce on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Julia, did you just say that you call your open houses house parties?
They are a house party, and that is because I serve champagne at like every single open house. It is a party. It's really fun. I always have like music on, and I have a nice spread. I've done brunch and bubbles before, which is really nice. If I have like an 11 a.m. open house, 11 to 1, I'll call that brunch and bubbles. But yeah, to me, I think it's a house party because I always get yummy little bites. I never get like a big cupcake. I get a small cupcake, like the 2-bite brownies. People don't want to walk around with a whole cupcake. I'll just do a little 2-bite brownie and stuff. And then, and I always have a theme. Every single one of my open houses, there's a theme. So I did really well at my 2 open houses that I had right before St. Patrick's Day. I had green champagne. It was adorable. It was great, and little leprechauns everywhere and gold coins and rainbows. So
listen, I've been doing this a long time. I've never heard anybody call their open houses a house party, and I love it. I love it. If everybody on this call, if that's the one thing they get out of it, if you're going to be there anyway for 4 hours,
Fun.
Have fun,
Exactly.
make it
Yeah.
fun for people. I mean, that's the whole point, is that, you know, you can be there and just sit on your phone and wait for somebody to come and say they want to sell their house, or you can actually make it a fun experience. That's what sticks with people. And, you know, you said about, you know, getting all these offers within 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is. I just told my agents, we had a call this Monday. I said, people have to stop with this. Give your listing 10 days before you'll can present offers. Just tell people, we're gonna give it, put in the agent remarks, we're not going to present offers for 10 days. We want to give the whole market a chance to see it. You want to give yourself a chance to do an open house because that's good for you. You want to have the sign up for a while. I mean, but I think it's good for the seller, because I think sometimes we get so obsessed with, like, we want to sell this home in 24 hours that, like, there was someone who might have paid more for that house, but like they were, you know, they had a cold those 2 days that it hit the market and they weren't able to go look at it, and they missed their opportunity because you put it out there too quick. Let's what do you call your open houses, Ian? Just as a, I call them open houses. Do you call them
So
open houses? That's all I do.
you missed the pre-call. I hate open houses. I avoid them with a passion. I mean, it is just such a waste of my time. And
Wow.
I would much rather make 2 hours of cold calls and convert that into business.
Yeah, that's the classic approach. I mean, that's the classic Mike Ferry. That's the about any hour you spend doing something besides making calls is a waste of your time. So I respect that. Even
Well,
though
let's also,
yeah.
oh, sorry, I'll say, let's also not forget the power of Facebook Live. Past 3
Absolutely.
years, there have been more homes purchased sight unseen than ever before. I
Yeah.
can sit at home, you know, at my coffee, you know, drinking my cup of coffee and actually attend your open house. So I live in Florida. This is a very powerful tool that a lot of agents here are using. So that's also another option.
I'm just going to pull something from the chat before we go to the next question, which is just Sherry Balhorn volunteered in line with this theme and with the open house parties, that she buys Girl Scout cookies and lays them out to support all the local Girl Scouts. So she buys the cookies, which makes her a hero there, and then she puts the cookies out, I guess, at the open house, which is very nice. Everybody loves their Girl Scout cookies. I have a daughter in Girl Scouts, so I have a lot of them around the house right now. It's not necessarily the best thing to have available too easy around. I want to ask a couple of, I want to go through like some fundamentals, make sure we hit this. And I want to just ask you both about your approach to establishing your brand. We'll talk about establishing your brand, listing marketing, CRM to maintain relationships and generating and incubating leads. But let's start with establishing your brand. What do you see as the foundation for, you know, what do you see as your brand and how do you reinforce it? Ian, I'll start with you.
Well, brand is really big to me. I take my brand to heart. Obviously, my name's in it, so I really want everything that Deacon Hoover does to, you know, kind of be what I would do and what I like to see. So specifically, as you can see, I'm wearing the hat. We're big on, like, we get hoodies, we get hats, we give them out not only to our agents, but we give them out to our customers, to our just people that, you know, we're friends with on Facebook, that they like them. They're very good quality. We spend a lot of money on the merch, and I like to definitely give that merch out. We build out studios. You know, that's where I'm at right now. So we have a studio in our office. We really try and set ourselves apart from the competition, and we want to have fun while we're doing this. We're all here to do real estate, but we want to do real estate the fun way. And so we have a work hard, play hard type of atmosphere. And we also do that. We try and get that on social media. Again, getting out there on video, super important. Doing as much of that stuff as you can. So if you're really thinking about your brand and everything, and you want to get better, I mean, open up that phone, get on video, start talking to people. That's the best way. You can literally get in front of 1,000 people while you're sitting in this chair on Facebook Live, as Stephanie talked about. It's just the best way to get in front of people. But when it comes to the traditional branding way, billboards and newspapers and stuff like that, we don't do any of that anymore. It's all social media. It's all getting out there and talking to people and you know, giving merch away and having fun with it.
Well, let me ask you this. What does your brand say? What's your someone sees your brand, sees your name, what is it supposed to say to them? I'm just curious, like, what's the message?
Well, I mean, we really, again, coming from the brand side of things, we actually opened our company thinking we were going to be an investment brand. And we actually do way more traditional real estate than we do investment. It's probably about a 70-30 mix. So I think our logo and everything probably doesn't fit that as much for the actual branding that we're trying to get away with. But what I would say is that if they look at us on social media and they see the people that we have working for us, they're like, man, those people are fun. They like to have fun. They like to, this is the person I want to hire because I want to have fun when I'm going through 10 houses and when I'm dealing with multiple offers, highest and best situations. So, and we're hiring the right people. I mean, Stephanie will tell you, everybody on our team is fucking amazing. They're awesome. We have the best crew in town, and I would put money on it. I would take any of my agents over anybody anywhere else.
You know, and I will have to chime in and give props to, you know, Deacon and Hoover. I've been there personally. They are super fun. But also just as far as just a quick little chime in on their brand and their name, you know, to kind of piggyback on what Julie said, I think it was you, Julie, of, you know, we're not just here to help people buy and sell homes. Deacon and Hoover are real estate advisors. You know, like you said, Joe, you know, what does it look like as far as my investment to put a pool in? You know, what's going on with the market right now? Is it the best time for me to purchase my first home? Even me on a personal level, you know, we've been working with Ian's company now for a couple of years, but my daughter just bought her first house. She went to Penn State, so she lives in Pennsylvania. I called Ian, hey, my daughter's looking to buy her first home. Do you know of anybody that can help her? I need a real estate advisor in the sense of we need a referral. And he came through and they just closed not even a week ago. And it's just pretty awesome that they have truly branded themselves as the community experts.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that that's really important. And so even in your name, Ian, it truly does show that you guys are there to advise, you know, no matter what.
The advisor part of the name was definitely important to me just because of the fact that, like, I think there's companies like Zillow out there who is devaluing the real estate professionals. And that's what we are. We're a professional. If you don't value your time and you don't value your money and all that, I mean, don't discount your commission. Don't do these things if you don't have to, right? We're advisors for reasons because you're hiring us to help you sell your most valuable asset. So I call all of our agents advisors because we're advisors. We're helping people do the most important transaction of their life.
I pulled it up so people could see it if they can't, you know, I can't quite make it out on your hat through the screen, but I pulled up your logo. I think it's showing on the screen. And I see your point being that you built this for commercial because you got the buildings, but I think that works for residential. And I think that, you know, it's one of those things where if you brand yourself in the high end, you can always sell the middle end and the low end. If you brand yourself for the middle end or the low end, you can't sell the high end. You brand yourself for residential, there's no commercial broker or commercial client who's going to take you that seriously. You need a commercial based brand, but you can have a commercial infused brand and work residential because it's sort of considered to be, you know, within the coverage of what commercial would do. So I think it's great. I don't think that I think it's, and I love the story of how you started it and then you've kind of evolved the company because that's the way most companies are. All right, Julie, tell me about what does your brand say about you, your personal brand?
My brand is actually perfect. I just rebranded myself this year. Pink is obviously my theme. My office is pink. The ceiling of my office is pink. Everything is pink. I'm working on getting my Mercedes painted pink. Like, I'm really excited about like pushing my brand. My logo actually is my name, Julie Bertain, and then in teeny tiny little hot pink letters it says real estate, and then there's actually a bottle of champagne popping. And the bottle of champagne is pink, and on the label it's got a gold label with a little house on it. Like the word real estate and the little house on the label of the bottle, that's the only way that you would know that I'm actually a realtor. But when I created that brand with my graphic designer, I posted it on Instagram and on Facebook and everything. Everybody that knows me was like, that is so you. That is so you. And it's totally me because that's what my open houses are about. All of my marketing is about that. It's about that and having fun, you know? So yeah, so I think I have a pretty good brand right now. I do tend to market more towards luxury. But then, you know, I mean, I've sold an $80,000 condo before, and that was probably one of the hardest deals I ever did. So, my brand is pretty much everywhere, and I like it, you know.
I want to pull it up. I'm fine. Is it the J and the B in the little script? Is that it?
No, that's not it. I can email it to you if you want to.
Yeah, you can email it to me. I'll see if I can pull it up if I have an ability to pull it up. because I did it for Ian. I want to make sure I do it for you as well to show people what you're talking about. Although they can always Google it as well and try to track it down. I just am doing it while we're talking. Did you say that you're going to paint your Mercedes pink?
I think so. Yeah, my husband does not want me to do it. He's like, it's gonna look so stupid, and I'm like, but if it's gonna get me like
It's gonna get you noticed. That's the whole point. Yeah.
Mary,
There's the
people
pink.
drive around and you know, powder pink cars. Why can't I?
I think pink is a very
I'm for it.
underrated
I'm for
color.
it, Julie.
See?
I'm gonna stand as a branding expert and tell you go for it, girl.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
I'm gonna
you
do
should
it.
wrap it though. Don't paint it, wrap it. It's easier to
Yeah,
take.
that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, you
That's what
want to
we're
wrap.
looking
Painting is permanent, and it I don't know. You own the car. It's not a lease.
at. Right, correct. I own the car.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you own the car because that can
Yeah.
be a problem with the
I brought it during COVID. It's a 2-seater, so nobody can ride with me. So,
Very nice.
So
Yeah, I have agents who said, all right, so we talked about branding. I think that was a very helpful discussion. Now, Stephanie, do you have anything you want to add on top of that? I think of you as probably, with your interest in social media, you probably know a lot about branding. Anything you want to weigh in
yeah,
on?
it's just, I'm going to echo everything you guys said in the sense of, branding yourself as that community expert, right? Zig Ziglar said it best. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. You guys both seem to be doing just an awesome job as far as just understanding that we have to connect with people on a personal level. And then I know that you have it next on your slide there, Joe. Branding yourself, the way you post your listings really brands you as an agent as well. What we try to help agents do is not only take your brand to the next level because of consistency across the internet, but also taking your branding, taking your content and allowing it to generate leads for you. Are you posting your listing updates in a way that's driving traffic back to you? A lot of times agents put a bunch of pretty photos and, hey, everyone, brand new listing, 123 Main Street, gorgeous backyard, price to sell, call me. But you're not giving all the information I need, right? I need the listing sheet. I want to know the taxes. I want to know the school zone. You don't know that I'm looking at that post. So taking your listings to that next level, optimizing your listings so that they are driving traffic back to your website, allows you to take your social media and turn them into super highways of lead generation, and it doesn't cost you anything, right? So, I just think that's important for your personal brand, and then of course, consistency across multiple social media platforms, allowing you to, connect a larger audience. And just making yourself not that invisible agent, right? I want everyone, look at, I love your house party, Julie. Yeah. I am living for it.
Yeah, to cap our discussion
that's actually that's a home buyer workshop that I'm having.
Yeah, I see that. I just couldn't. I'm
limited. But there's my
Google,
logo.
But that's the right logo with the exploding champagne.
Yeah.
And I think that's your color. That's your Pantone color right there. Yeah. So we'll cap our discussion on branding by taking a look at that. That's beautiful card or beautiful invite. It was a digital evite piece that you had. But let's go back. The next thing I want to talk about was about listing marketing. One of the real interesting things about the market right now is the extent to which, I think people who have been in the business for less than 3 years do not understand that listing marketing often, is really important because they're used to a market where they put the house on the market and they get offers within 2 weeks and they don't have time to do all. And some of them feel like, well, what do I need to do that for? Which I think is just such a mistake because at the very least, your listing marketing isn't just about selling that listing. It's about selling you to the next seller and about selling you to buyers and everything else. But talk to me about what are some of your best practices for marketing your listings, and in both the sense of selling yourself and selling your agents, anybody, or not your agents, selling yourself or selling your listings, anybody.
Well, I'll go first. I basically, every time I have a listing, like I said, I have a 7-point touch system for every single listing. And the whole, Joe, you hit the nail on the head when you said people are going so fast and they list the house and then they have, an open house the next day and I like to list the house on a Wednesday or Thursday, but before I even list it, I let the neighbors know that it's coming on the market. And I go ahead and plan for my nosy neighbor open house, which is the same day, just an hour before my house party. That way I'm meeting all of the neighbors it's kind of one-on-one when you're open an hour before and invite only the neighbors. It's brilliant because you know
I love
exactly
that.
who you're talking to, you know exactly where they live, and you know what price range their home is going to be in. And honestly, sometimes I've met people that know my husband or know my daughter at these open houses. So it's like, it's a small world, you know. So I like to do the all of the touches with the coming soon, just listed. And then of course, if I have to have a price improvement, I'll send a message out that way. Also postcards. So I like to do lots of the email marketing. They get 4 touches via email and then 3 postcard touches from me. Every single listing, and they all look the same. I think that's also very important, that everything has to look the same. Your email that's going out as well as your postcard. Keep it simple and keep it all looking the same.
I mean,
Consistency
format.
builds trust. Love that.
Yeah.
Ian, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you kind of hit the nail on the head for me. I am teaching my agents, right? So that's kind of my niche with that. But I will say that I always tried to do things a little bit differently when I was listing a lot more houses than I do nowadays, because I basically only do friends and family these days, were my own properties. But I will say that when you're doing something different, think outside of the box. Like, there's so much cool stuff if you do research. Like, anybody know what geotagging is?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
so you could literally, like, okay, if you're targeting an apartment community, because you know those people are going to buy houses, you could geotag that apartment community and literally draw a line around it. And anybody who enters that apartment community is going to start seeing your ads, right? It's going to start seeing anything that you're marketing to them. So if I got a new listing, I would be geotagging specific apartment communities, because I'm going to use that listing to build future business for myself, right? That house is going to sell. 97% of anything you put on the MLS is going to sell. That house is going to sell. So what I need to do is turn that listing into more listings or more buyers for myself. And so start thinking about it that way. If you're in this kind of a market, you need to think about how you can turn that listing into more buyers and more sellers for yourself. And I love that, getting together with the homeowners an hour before the open house. Julie, that's a genius. Get in front of people, meet people, shake hands, get to know them, build relationships, and then they're going to want to use you because they know, like, and trust you, right? So use that listing as a way to get more listings. Don't worry about selling it, because it's going to sell itself. If you take good
Yeah.
photos and you put in the MLS, it's going to sell itself.
Great. That's just great. Anything, Stephanie, anything you want to add about listing marketing?
Yeah, just making sure that you're, sharing the listing status changes, right? When it's obviously new to market, just sold, price reductions, just make
Yeah.
sure that you're keeping, your audience aware of all of that. Like Ian said, the geo-targeting, the boosting, just really, really being selective and intentional about who you're trying to reach. And then, of course, the running theme of today, I can tell you, this is relationships, building relationships, growing relationships. 86% of an agent's business is going to come from repeat and referral business. That's not to say that prospecting isn't absolutely huge, or lead generation isn't, because all of that builds your list and builds your sphere, right? But we need to make sure that we're intentional about growing our sphere, staying in front of them in a meaningful way, and then of course increasing that repeat referral business over time. And all of that ties in together. We are in a relationship building industry in every sense of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of relationship building, that was the next of kind of this list I wanted to go through, which is the CRMs. We talk about how important it is to stay in touch with people, retain their contact information. I've always said, once you get someone's mobile number, that's gold, because that's the way you reach people these days. And if all you have is someone's, address, it's very expensive to reach them. Their email, they may not open. Their office, their home line, they may not have one anymore, or they just goes right to their voicemail. But their mobile number is like gold. And the other contact information also is very useful for other types of marketing systems. So what do you use, and how do you use it effectively? Either Julie or Ian, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ian.
Okay, I'll start on this one. I mean, again, we are all in on the Elm Street bandwagon, and our CRM. We actually came from a company that was, I thought, really good at first, and then their service kind of fell apart, and it just wasn't a good fit for us anymore. But I did a actual survey to my agents. I said, hey, what do we like? What do we don't like? And they hated our CRM that we were using, right? They hated the software. It was too confusing, too complex. And so I love the fact that with my CRM with Elevate and Elm Street it's just super simple. It's like anybody, I could put my 80-year-old grandma in front of a computer and she could figure out how to add a contact, and she could figure out how to put in their home buying anniversary, and she could figure all that stuff out. And then that actually implements into other parts of the system, like the monthly emails that get sent out and everything. But I'm a big fan of second brain, right? And you guys are probably gonna look at me sideways when I say that, but I do a lot of research on it. If you go into like YouTube or anything like that and type in second brain, it's a whole, like you basically are going to use the cloud as your second brain. Get as much information out of your head as you can and get it into the cloud, right? So you should be using your CRM to make all kinds of notes. Oh, Mary likes champagne and Joe likes bourbon, and their kids' names are Sammy and John, ages 8 and 12, right? Like you should know everything about every single person that you sell a house to or want to sell a house to, and you should use that in your 33 touch campaigns and everything else so that you can talk to them about stuff other than just real estate, right? You should be like, hey, how's Johnny's softball, baseball going? You know, and really get to know your clients, befriend them. You know, literally, I go and friend every single one of my clients on Facebook because I want to get to know them personally, and I want them to truly be my friend. And I've actually, a lot of my friends have come from buying houses from me, and then they turn into friends, and some of them have turned into my agents. I mean, it's pretty crazy how it works like that. But you gotta use that CRM and that technology to be your second brain and put every ounce of information as you can into that CRM and utilize it. If you don't utilize it, you're just wasting money and throwing money out the window.
Yep. Yep. You can't manage what you can't measure, right? And so you need to create automation for yourself. You need to be able to have at a glance information. You are a business owner. And I like the way you put that in, just having that second brain, right? You need to make sure 98% of an agent's marketing should be automated, right? With email campaigns, text campaigns, social media touches, all of that kind of stuff, because you should be out there, you know, negotiating deals, writing contracts, connecting with people, and allowing your automation to do most of the heavy lifting. And the reason why I say 98% is because no one can be you, right? The rest of that is all those personal touches in your videos and all of that. So a CRM, obviously I'm passionate about CRM technology. And the biggest issue is, you know, like Ian said, is adoption. For a broker, how do I get my office to adopt this, to actually use it? You know, I know for us, a lot of that comes down to training. If you know how to do it, you will do it. And coming alongside of brokerage and making sure that we are that partner for the training process as well. Having protected databases, because Julie, you are the CEO of your business, regardless of where you hang your license, and just making sure that you're able to run your business as such. So, you know, that kind of technology is absolutely huge. And I meet agents, brokers that will say, okay, tell me where you keep your database. And they'll be like, oh, in this notebook.
Yeah, we still have that.
I actually forgot my favorite.
It's so much work.
Real quick, I actually forgot my favorite feature, and it just blew I didn't even know this was possible, by the way, and I'm a big tech guy. In the CRM, when you put somebody in and you email somebody, it actually tells me, without having read receipts, it tells me if they opened the email, it tells me if they clicked on the links in the email, right? And it reports all that back to me by sending me an email. So it's not like I even have to log into the system and check. So I actually started using that to send my weekly emails to my agents, so I know which one of them are opening my emails and which ones are reading them. They hate it.
Do they know that you do that?
Oh, they know it, and they hate it. They absolutely hate it. But yeah, I mean,
At a glance information. At a glance information.
Right. How powerful is that though, when like you send an email out and you could tell if they opened the email, and then you could tell if they clicked on the information in the email. Yeah. And then that just ding, ding, that's a hot lead. You got to call that person right away. They clicked on that property you sent them, and you need to see where are they looking to move? What's their deal, right?
Yep. Julie, tell me a little bit about what you do to manage your database.
So my company just adopted KV Core, and I'm still getting used to it. It is a lot. I mean, it is a lot. It is fabulous because it has the texting capabilities and stuff like that, and it also has what Ian's has, where I do know who has opened my email, who has deleted it, who has forwarded it to somebody else, which is really awesome. So if someone likes a property that I've sent them and they forward it to somebody else, I actually get that other person's email address. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so I mean, I'm just getting used to it. I'm only probably 50% through the training. It's a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not afraid of it, but it's just gonna take a long time for me to fully adopt it. I've got over 5,000 contacts, and I can't just dump them all in there because I have to look at every single name and label them as a buyer or a seller or a friend, or I got to figure out which emails they're gonna get from me because I don't want to just bombard them with every single touch
I will say that is that's a good discipline. It's a good process to go through every once in a while, maybe once a year or once every other year, that not because you have to change CRM providers, but just on its own merit to go through, literally start with Anthony Aardvark and go all the way to Zelda Ziminson or whatever, and look at each contact and do the test, which is like, who is this person? Like, how do I know them and all that? Because sometimes, you want to prune that database because, then you look and you see you've been sending them emails. They haven't opened an email in 2 years. Like, are you really want to, keep them in? If you don't even remember who they are, they may not know who you are anymore. But also, I think what's good about that process is you're like, oh my God, I haven't talked to John in a year and a half. Let me give him a call. I tell people that one of the best things you can do is just literally person by person go through that database and look and say, all right, I'm missing the home address for this person, or I'm missing this piece of information. Let me just call them up and say, hey, listen, I'm updating my database. I don't think I have it. I always say that people should send birthday cards. I'm a big birthday card guy. And so I always say, just, when you're filling your database, just call them up and say, listen, I'm filling out my database. One of the things I like to have in the database is the birthday, not the birth date, but the birthday. And, and then they tell you and say, well, a happy belated or a happy, the first person to wish you happy birthday for this year. And if they don't want to give you their birthday, that's maybe a good sign that they're not as close to you as you think they are.
Well, and it's important to remember too, Joe, that we need to be making sure that we have an intentional plan to market to our database in different ways, in the sense of you've got your base, you've got 5,000 contacts, right? You're not texting all 5,000 of them on a consistent basis, right? So what is your top 100? These are people that know who you are, you know exactly who they are, your top 100 that for sure that I'm going to invest in print marketing for this top 100. I'm going to make sure I'm doing texting campaigns for this top 100, right? Whereas maybe the rest of them, it's, we put them on drip campaigns, birthdays, stuff like that, and then from that 100, we funnel down, but just being intentional about that stuff. And I will give you guys one shameless plug. Wasn't planning on doing this, but based on my little book here, if you guys, this is one of my colleagues' referral and repeat marketing book. And the Phil Hollander was the author of this book, and a lot of the stuff that I have learned over the years came right from this book. So I get no proceeds. I'm just a believer in it.
I love that.
So definitely check it out. Repeat referral marketing is such a great value, where it talks about specifically marketing to your base.
So I did write this book, so I'm just doing it quick before I'm on how to be a great real estate agent. All right, back away from the plugs. We have 6 minutes. I want to ask one sort of, I want to ask a couple of quick fire questions. This has got to be 30 seconds in and out. Like, what's the piece of advice you would give to people who are with us today? One app or piece of technology that you use every day that you couldn't live without. What's yours?
Mine's Remind and Canva.
Okay, big Canva user. Okay.
I use Canva every day, and I use Remind every single day. Yeah.
All right, Ian.
You know what? I love Canva. I also love my Google Calendar. I want to be able to live without it. However, the one that really comes to mind is I have a habits app. I'm an Android user. It's literally called Habits. And it literally just, I go through every day and check off the things that are important to me. So did I work out today? Did I eat right? Did I read? I have like 5 or 6 things I'm focused on. It keeps my percentages and it keeps me motivated on what I'm focused on.
Love that. That's great. That's great. What's one piece of advice you would give? We have some people ask for who are relatively new in the business. What's one piece of advice you would give somebody who's less than a year in the business and trying to get their start? What would you tell them?
Do open houses. I mean, that's easy.
And
For
Ian would
me,
say
that's
make phone
so
calls.
easy.
All right, Ian, what's
Yeah.
yours? I'm predicting make phone calls.
No, actually, so a line from my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies, hard work beats talent every day. That's The Wolf on Wall Street, by the way. Just outwork everybody. Just wake up, eat, drink, shit, sleep, real estate, and just outwork the competition. That's how you build this business.
And I think,
Good.
well, I was going to say lots of new agents don't have a listing. So right now they're probably all freaking out. Like, well, easy for her to say. She probably has a lot of listings. Actually, if I don't want to hold one of my houses open, but I see that my friend in my brokerage has got a killer house coming on the market, I'm asking her if I can hold hers open. Why not? Yeah. Because she doesn't want to do it on Saturday, or she's got a kid's baseball game or a tournament to be at, where I've got a couple spare hours. And I don't have really long open houses. Like, I have the neighborhood preview is like 1 hour, and then my open house is just 2 hours. So I'm really only there for about 3.5 hours.
Yeah, you can only party for so long. You can't have a 4 hour party. What is a
That's
4 hour
right.
party? It's a 2 hour party. Well, I always say, listen, if you make it 1 to 3, people will get there between 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
You make it 1 to 5, they'll get there between 1 and 5. If you're the person that has the limited time frame and they want to see your house, they'll be there for it. You don't need to be there for 4 or 5 hours. Have a little time for yourself on your Sunday. My one piece of advice for anybody starting out in a business would be start getting up early. Go to bed early, start getting up early. The time between 9 o'clock and 1 a.m. is almost never used that productively. If you're someone who works late, well then don't listen to what I'm saying. But I become an early riser. I'm up at 5:30 every morning, and I get so much done before 9 o'clock that it's incredible, because it's before my phone starts ringing, before I get the emails, I'm just plugging away while everybody else is still getting themselves ready. The same way that, after 12 o'clock, you start making bad decisions. That's why ATMs should work after midnight. ATMs should just shut down, because when you take out money at 1 o'clock, that never goes well. It's not a good thing. All right, one last, I told you I would give you a chance to give a takeaway. One piece of advice for anybody, one thing you want to leave with people, last impression that you want to leave them as we finish today. I'll let Julie, Ian, then Stephanie. Julie.
That's a tough one. Let's do Ian, you go first.
Oh, you go first, Ian.
All right. ABL, always be learning, be a sponge, and just be reading. There's a lot of books. 7 Levels of Effective Communication is my book. Go read it. It's a great one.
All right, Stephanie.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good. My whole thing, what I'm really doing right now is actually listening to podcasts. I listen to really, really good real estate podcasts, and I listen to them all the time. Like, first thing in the morning, when I'm in the car, anytime I'm just sitting alone in my office, I always have a podcast on. So I like learning, and I like taking notes and checking out new podcasts all the time. So that's my big, huge takeaway actually from last year and this year is make sure you find some good podcasts, because you can really learn a lot.
Very nice. And Stephanie?
Mine would be get involved with your community, join the chamber, get involved with a charitable event, find something that makes your heart excited, and just get involved, meet people, build those relationships, and then share it on social media.
We got someone asked for name of that book again, Stephanie. Someone asked, I'll just give you a chance to do a second plug.
Shameless plug. All right, Phil, I'm coming for you. You're going to thank me later. All right, referral and repeat marketing book. All right, guys, this is written by Phil Hollander. I believe you can get it on Amazon, or I'm going to give you guys can get my contact information and let me know, and I will have Phil send you one directly. But I am telling you, it is not a long read. And in my own career, I am telling you, and Phil is one of my colleagues, one of the smartest guys in the industry, and he's taught me so much just about connecting with your database. Right?
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Ian. We did get a request, and Julie did send me the logo so you can see it on the screen right now.
Love
so
it,
this
Julie.
is the logo.
How fun is that?
It's so fun. Julie, I want a sticker. I want a sticker. I've got Ian and Hoover swag. I want some of your swag, Julie. And then also, Joe, don't forget to put my little QR code up because I know people are probably going to want to know how
to. Is it the last thing? I'm sorry. Let me get that up. Hold on. Is that the last?
No, you're good. You're good. I love the house, the key.
There it is. There it is. All right, let me show
Gorgeous,
this. Hold on. Thank you for reminding me. So Discover, go ahead. Why don't you explain what this is as you'll lead us out?
Yeah, for sure. So for all of you who want to connect with myself, my team, we can definitely do kind of a one-on-one social media consultation just to get to know your business a little bit better. You know, want to know about the book, you can go ahead and email me. But go take your phone, go ahead and scan this QR code. You will be sent directly to a landing page where we will connect you with one of our coaches and just be able to share with you ways that we can help, whether it's automation, lead generation, you know, done for you content marketing. If you're like, hey, I want to know what Ian does with his brokerage, you know, whatever it might be, this QR code will take you directly to our lander. And I will personally make sure you are all taken care of wonderfully.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Ian. My thanks to everybody at RISMedia for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today and be part of this. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. It is recorded, so it'll be available if you want to share with other people, I'm sure, at the RISMedia website. But thank you all for your time. Have a great day. Have a great week. And we'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. See ya, Julie, Ian, Joe. Thank you.